Today I'm going to be sharing my learnings on Alexander Graham Bell and more specifically the invention of the telephone. So Alexander Graham Bell was born on March 3rd, 1847 in Scotland. His mother and his wife were deaf, sparking his interest in the science of sound. And so he wanted to send sound through a wire. And that's essentially what a telephone does, right? You speak through one end, and it's transmitted through the wire to the other end. And so he invented the telephone, and the first words spoken through a telephone were spoken on March 10th, 1876. So the first words spoken were, I'm going to pull up my notes here so I can quote it word for word. They were, "Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you." So that's what the first words spoken were. And Mr. Watson was his assistant. So his name was Thomas Watson. And so they were spoken to his assistant over the telephone. And the first transcontinental call was in 1915. And I believe it was from California to New York or New York to California, something like that. The call was made in 1915. And another fun fact about the Bell Telephone Company, which is the telephone company that was created when Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. Another fun fact about them is, though there have been, of course, a lot of changes in the company over the years, that it is now known as AT&T. And though we tend to think, at least I usually think, Alexander Graham Bell, inventor of the telephone. I know for a long time, whenever I thought Alexander Graham Bell, I thought telephone. But he also helped invent other things and invented other things. For example, a device that helps find icebergs and can detect icebergs. He invented that. He also helped form the National Geographic Society. Just a fun fact, he helped form the National Geographic Society. And so creating a telephone, though it wasn't like a modern day smartphone where you could download apps on it, it was still such a huge accomplishment because, back then, think about before a telephone. Think about not being able to just pick up a device and hear someone's voice. Back then you couldn't do that. You had to send mail or travel physically. But now, after the invention of the telephone, someone could just pick up their telephone and make a call to a relative or a friend all the way across the country and be able to hear their voice. So that's it for this learning. Thank you for joining me. I hope you learned something new. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.